Okay, so you've just finished a killer workout. You're standing in the kitchen, and that little panic sets in. Have I missed my chance to actually build muscle from all that work? Well, you are not alone. Today, we are going to clear up all the confusion around peri-workout nutrition. That's what to eat before, during, and after you train. I'm telling you, if you get this right, it is an absolute game changer for your results. Let's dive in.
We've all heard it, right? It's practically the gospel in the weight room. You have exactly 30 minutes after your last rep to slam a protein shake, or you've basically wasted the whole workout. But is this so-called anabolic window actually a fact, or is it just one big fitness myth?
Well, it turns out that frantic 30-minute dash to the shaker bottle is mostly a myth. The real science actually points to a much bigger window of opportunity. The real anabolic window is more like a 4 to 5 hour period that brackets your entire workout, including both your pre and post workout meals. So, yeah, you can relax.
And this all falls under the umbrella of peri-workout nutrition. You see, it's not just about what you're eating, but when you're eating it. The whole point is to strategically time your food to fuel your workout, kickstart muscle growth, and seriously speed up your recovery. It's about making your nutrition work for you, not against you.
So now that we know this window is way bigger than we thought, you might be thinking, great, timing doesn't matter. But hold on, that's not quite right. It just means the urgency changes depending on who you are and how you train. For some people, nailing this timing is still absolutely crucial. So who really needs to pay close attention to this? Well, first up, leaner people. You just don't have as many stored nutrients to pull from. Second, anyone who's in a calorie deficit, trying to cut. The risk of muscle loss is way higher then. And finally, if you're doing really high volume bodybuilding style workouts that just totally drain your system. If you fall into any of those categories, getting your timing on point is key.
All right, let's talk about what is arguably the most important piece of this entire puzzle, the pre-workout meal. And no, this isn't just about not feeling hungry. This is about setting the entire stage for a killer performance.
In fact, you'll hear a lot of experts argue that for anyone who's serious about training, the pre-workout meal is the single most important meal of the day. And why is that? It's simple. It directly determines the quality of your training session, and it's the quality of that session that's going to be the #1 driver of your muscle growth. So your pre-workout meal really has two main jobs. First, you've got your carbs, which are there to fuel the workout and give you sustained energy. But second, and this is so important, is the protein. Getting protein in before you train creates an anabolic or muscle-building environment. It basically flips the on switch for growth before you even start breaking the muscle down.
Okay, so what does that actually look like on your plate? Here are some really solid science-based targets to shoot for. For carbs, you're looking at about 1 gram for every kilogram you weigh. For protein, about half a gram per kilogram. And as for fat, you want to keep it on the lower side, say under 20 grams, especially the closer you get to your workout, just because fat slows down digestion. Now, while about 2/3 of people eat before they train, a full 1/3 of people prefer to train fasted, first thing in the morning. If that's you, don't worry, your approach is totally fine, but it just makes the other parts of your workout nutrition even more important. We'll get to that in a sec. For the rest of us who do eat, the real sweet spot for timing is about an hour to an hour and a half before you hit the gym. That gives your body enough time to start digesting everything so you don't feel all bloated and sluggish during your first set. So let's look at a perfect meal example for that exact time frame. You can't go wrong with something like a simple bowl of protein oatmeal. I mean, think about it. You get slow digesting carbs from the oats, great protein from the powder, some faster carbs from the banana for a quick energy boost, a little bit of healthy fat from the peanut butter. It's just a fantastic all-around pre-workout meal. And if we break down the numbers for, say, an 80-kilo person, that's about 175 pounds, this meal lines up perfectly with those targets we talked about. You're getting about 40 grams of protein, which is right on that half a gram per kilo goal, and 80 grams of carbs, which hits the 1 gram per kilo goal. And the fat is sitting right in that sweet spot. Perfect. Okay, so you're fueled up, you're in the gym, you're crushing it. The next big question is, should you be eating or drinking anything during the workout itself? Now, for most people who had a solid pre-workout meal, the answer is probably no. But for a few specific groups, it can be a really powerful tool. So, who should actually think about intra-workout fuel? Well, this is where our fasted trainers come back into the picture. If you're hitting the gym on an empty stomach, this becomes really important. It's also super helpful if you're in a big calorie deficit, if your workouts are just brutally long, like over an hour, or if you're a really advanced athlete just trying to squeeze out every last drop of performance.
And you don't have to overcomplicate it. For performance, you can just sip on a liquid carb source, like a sports drink, to keep your energy levels topped off. A good rule of thumb is about half a gram of carbs per minute of your workout, starting about 30 minutes in. Now, if you're training fasted, your main goal is to prevent muscle breakdown, so sipping on 5 to 10 grams of essential amino acids, or even just a little bit of whey protein in water, is a great move. They get absorbed super fast and help protect your hard-earned muscle. All right, workout's done, you crushed it. Now we get to the famous post-workout meal. And like we said, you don't need to sprint to the kitchen and panic, but the timing and what you eat still definitely matter. The key thing to remember is that the urgency is all relative to when you had your pre-workout meal. Let's walk through a couple of examples to make this super clear. Let's say you ate your pre-workout meal at 5 p.m., then you trained from 6 to 7. Your 4 to 5 hour anabolic window doesn't close until 9 or 10 p.m. You've got tons of time. But look at this other scenario. Say you ate way earlier, at 3 p.m., and then trained from 5 to 7. By the time you're done, you're already 4 hours in. In that case, yeah, getting that post-workout meal in becomes much more urgent. See, it's all about that total time between meals. After your workout, protein is still king. You're going to aim for that same 0.5 grams per kilogram to really kickstart the muscle repair process. But now, carbs become super important for refilling your muscle's fuel tanks, the glycogen that you just burned through. And getting this right isn't just about recovering from this workout, it makes sure you're fully fueled and ready to go for your next one. A classic example of a great post-workout meal is something simple like a ground turkey and rice bowl. Again, for that same 80-kilo person, this easily hits your 40-gram protein target and gives you a solid 80 grams of carbs to start that recovery and refueling process right away. Okay, I know that was a lot of information, so let's just boil it all down into a super simple, actionable plan that you can literally start using today. This is everything we've covered, but in a nutshell. Here it is, just 4 simple rules. Number 1, time it right. Try to get that main pre-workout meal in 1 to 2 hours before you train. Number 2, prioritize your macros. Protein and carbs are the heroes here. Number 3, use that intro workout fuel if you need it, like if you're training fasted. And number 4, obey the window. Just make sure you don't let more than 4 or 5 hours pass between your pre- and post-workout meals. That's it. It really is that straightforward. By following these simple principles, you can make sure that all the hard work you're putting in at the gym actually pays off on your physique. So, now that you're armed with all this knowledge, the only real question left is how are you going to fuel your next